Can Frank Wilson win the LSU job permanently? We're going to talk about it today. Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked On LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get great podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you sincerely for that. LSU was back on the practice field Tuesday for the first time under interim head coach Frank Wilson, after which Frank met with reporters. What I'm going to do today is introduce you to Coach Frank, as many affectionately call him, and lay out a scenario for how he can improve this team this year in the next 4 games and how he can actually win the job permanently. Now, don't laugh. You may roll your eyes at the notion, but I'm telling you, the scenario that I'm going to lay out for you is not far-fetched. So buckle up for this today. You no doubt, by the nature of the fact that you're here listening to this or watching this today, you are an LSU fan, and because you're an LSU fan, you know who Frank Wilson is, okay? New Orleans high school royalty, from St. Aug, coached at O. Perry Walker and Edna Carr, got into the college game in 2005 when Ed Ogeron hired him on his staff at Ole Miss. He was there for 3 years with Coach O, then went to Southern Miss for a year, then was with Lane Kiffin at Tennessee in 2009. And in 2010, Coach Frank came home. Les Miles hired Frank Wilson to his staff at LSU in 2010. And Coach Frank became, not only was the running back coach, the recruiting coordinator, but also became the associate head coach. 2010 to 2015, at which point Coach Frank got the head coaching job at UTSA. He was at UTSA for 4 seasons, then went to McNeese for 2 seasons, and then joined LSU's staff under Brian Kelly in 2022, where he's been ever since. So he's been an assistant at LSU in his 2 stints now for almost a decade. So you know Coach Frank, you know great recruiter, you know New Orleans high school royalty, but you probably don't know Frank Wilson, because assistant coaches, position coaches, never speak to reporters. The coordinators under Brian Kelly only met with reporters twice all year, once in the spring, once in the fall camp, which is okay. That's very normal. So you may know who Frank Wilson is, but you may have never heard his voice, quite honestly. So I'm going to introduce you to Coach Frank and prepare for this, okay? Because you don't get the reputation of being an outstanding recruiter without being a fantastic communicator who knows how to tug at the heartstrings. So buckle up. Here was Coach Frank on his reaction to being named the interim head coach.
It's a tremendous, humbling moment for myself. I started off as a junior high coach at Etna Corps that became a high school assistant that became a 26-year-old head coach. And so extremely humbling. And guys like J.T. Curtis, who were my mentors in my early coaching career, guys like Bryce Brown and some of those guys who I had an opportunity to coach and develop over the years. And so I'm a part of the fiber of this state of in earnest high school football, youth football, that is extremely humbled, extremely honored to be given this opportunity. It's something that you would dream of, something that you don't know if it would ever come true, but something you prepare yourself for. And you take steps to position yourself to be able to do those things. And I recognize this moment, this opportunity is so much bigger than me. I just happen to be the caretaker at this moment for this wonderful institution that we so love. It's our flagship state university. We have tremendous pride in it. I will do my very best and die trying to represent us as a university, as a state, as a community, to the best of my ability, with dignity, with honor, with pride, the way LSU has always been and will always be.
Are you kidding me? He's part of the fiber of the state. It's a dream come true. He's humbled. It's bigger than me. He's the caretaker of this program. He takes tremendous pride in it. He names names like JT Curtis and Bryce Brown. He is tugging at your heartstrings. Coach Frank is an awesome communicator. Oh, but that was his opening salvo. He has asked, hey, we're crossing the street, coming to this press conference, and it sounds like it's a really spirited practice. When things should, you would think, be down, why were these guys so high? Listen to the story Coach Frank tells.
I was watching quite some time ago when we got bombed at Pearl Harbor, and the sirens went off. And that sound effect, and it was an alert. It was a all call. It was a rally call for us to come together. We emulated that today for our football team. And as those sirens went off for the rally call, our team merged together at the 50-yard line. We held up all four of our fingers in both hands. We chanted fourth quarter. We chanted finish, because we're all in. We're all in to finish what we've started. And some of that celebration, some of that noise, if you will, was simply our football team answering to the rally call, being there for one another in a tough situation when, if you will use an analogy, we've been invaded.
Are you kidding me? This man referenced Pearl Harbor. He literally, in a press conference, made siren noises. He gives you the imagery of we sounded the sirens. We came together at midfield. We held up four fingers. We said fourth quarter, finish. Are you not fired up yet? Are you not ready to strap on a chin strap and go play for this man? Well, how about one more? One of the biggest knocks on Brian Kelly, and I don't hold this true, but you've heard it. You need someone who loves LSU as much as the fans do. Well, here you go.
I was a head coach at another university in this state. I left that university as the head coach to come back here, right? And I chose to. I chose to come back here because it's a very, very unique place that there's no place like LSU. I've worked at universities in this conference, around this country, and there's something about the people here. And so when you speak of LSU, you can talk about the beautiful stadium, the Pantheon, right? The concrete, this beautiful facility that we're in. But LSU's not bricks and mortar. It's the people. It's the people that make LSU what it is. And we live and we thrive in a people society that as we evoke into relationships, it cuts deep. And so it's totally different than another school where you just go to work, that you become a part of it. It becomes a part of you. And it's the people in this building, it's the people in this community, it's the people in this state that gravitates, that pulls you in. And it's why we say forever LSU, because it's not just a job for me, for many.
You get it now? Do you get it now? In 3 short sound bites, in his first press conference, you get a glimpse of why that man is so magnetic, why players love him, why players want to play for him, why he can sit on a couch and engage with a family and get that player to play for him in that school. That was 3 short sound bites in his introductory press conference after the first practice. You don't know Coach Frank? You're going to get to know Coach Frank. By the way, that's all fine and good. You still got to go win 4 football games, right? So how are they going to do that? How are they going to improve over these next 4 games? You'll hear that from Coach Frank next. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail. From the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery, you can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, Mazda sweats every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And we're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU athletics. Of course, not only championship health partners of LSU athletes and doing amazing NIL deals with great Tigers like Garrett Nussmeier, Harold Perkins, Bauer Sharp, Jack Pyburn, so many others. We were in Nashville for the LSU Vanderbilt game on behalf of our friends at Our Lady of the Lake, and LSU championship gymnasts, Kaylin Chio and Lexi Zeiss were there, as well as championship athletes and NIL athletes with Our Lady of the Lake. You see, Our Lady of the Lake, at Our Lady of the Lake, trust isn't given, it's earned. And just like LSU athletes earn their success, Our Lady of the Lake Health providers earn trust every single day. As LSU's championship health partner, Our Lady of the Lake, part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System, take care of the Tigers on the field, on campus, and across Louisiana. Whether it's sports medicine, pediatrics, heart care, or helping you recover from everyday injuries, they bring championship-level commitment to every patient. You can trust the team that cares for the team you love. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU. Okay, so Coach Frank has you fired up. That's great. He can motivate a locker room. When you tee it up and kick it off a week from Saturday, you still got to play Alabama, a top 5 team in America, a team that hasn't lost since their season open embarrassment at Florida State, a Florida State team, which, by the way, is not very good. And look, Bama's been on the brink, y'all. Let's be real about what it is. Bama went to Georgia. Kirby Smart had a brain fart. He passed on a game-time field goal from the 10-yard line, got stuffed, and ultimately, Georgia lost the game. Bama went to Missouri, needed to survive that one. Bama at home against Vanderbilt, needed to survive. Diego Pavia, 2 turnovers inside the 10-yard line. Bama goes on the road to South Carolina. My goodness, Lenora Sellers choking away that game with a fumble with a minute left when they're going to drive for the winning score and just handed the game to Alabama. Oh, they've been on the brink. Oh, it's possible. But make no mistake, the LSU offense right now is not any good. There is no way around that. LSU is 49th in the country in passing offense. They're 124th in the country in rushing offense. They're 82nd in America in scoring offense at 25.8 points per game. This is just not a very good offense right now. Well, first thing you had happen is a staff shakeup. We know Joe Sloan has been fired. Alex Atkins is the new play caller. And Tim Rattay is the new quarterbacks coach. And Coach Frank talked a little bit about the offensive staff and how they're coming together to fix this offense, which has been broken so far through these first 7 games.
Collectively, as an offensive staff, we'll brainstorm, we'll work in pods, we'll work holistically with one another to devise a game plan that gives us the best opportunity to win a football game. And that's our sole and focal point. How do we position this team individually, collectively, that we're able to show our very best? That in run game, we have the ability to do it. We need to be able to run the ball, to have relief in the passing game. At times we have done it, but we want to do it more consistently. And I think if we do that, it'll allow our game, our team, our offense to be that much more effective. Alex, as you know, was serving in the capacity as our run game coordinator, had a great knowledge, has a background as a play caller. Tim Rattay has a background as a play caller. My years at UTSA, he was on the opposing sideline with Skip Holtz as the play caller. And so very familiar with both of these men and their abilities, and feel very confident they'll give us the best opportunity in both run and pass game collectively to present ourselves.
Okay. Coach Frank was asked, the question was about the roles Tim Rattay and Alex Atkins were going to play. And what he went into there was an awful lot about how they have to run the ball better. Now, you know how I feel about this. Been talking about this all season. And I don't think necessarily that this is a matter of, I don't think it's necessarily a matter of LSU's inability totally to run the football. It's been LSU at times, their unwillingness to run the football. LSU, we mentioned, 122nd in rushing offense. They have run the ball just 225 attempts on the entire season. Y'all, that ranks near the bottom of the country when you're looking at rushing attempts. The bottom of the line is you have to be willing to try. In that first half against Texas A&M, Harlem Berry was averaging 7 yards a carry. Don't tell me they can't. They did. Harlem Berry was averaging 7 yards per carry. And you were leading 18-14 at half against Texas A&M, the number 3 team in America. In the second half, Harlem Berry ran the ball on the first play of the second half for 3 yards. He never touched it again. Don't tell me you can't. It's that you haven't been willing to do it. So, Coach Frank was also asked, what are they emphasizing in this bye week offensively? Actually, he was asked, what are they emphasizing? He spent the first half of the soundbite talking about special teams, that they're emphasizing the third phase, which was awful against Texas A&M. You gave up a punt return for a touchdown. You gave up a long kickoff return. You had been automatic with Aaron Burrell with touchbacks the last 2 weeks. That has vanished as teams have started to return the ball against you. So how do you get better in this game? We said special teams, and then listen to what else.
So a huge emphasis in this bye week is on special teams. There's a huge emphasis in this bye week in running the game, running the ball. I promise you we will run the ball. And so, but I think it complements and it allows us to be that more effective in the pass game where we have tremendous weapons that we haven't utilized to the full potential for whatever reason. And so those areas where we lack and we haven't been our very best, we're going to try to make sure we're doing that.
I promise you we are going to run the ball. The new interim head coach is the running backs coach. The new play caller is the run game coordinator, who is by trade an offensive lineman and offensive line coach. You don't think the two men who now are running this thing, whose sole focus is the running game, aren't going to try to put more emphasis on running the football? Of course they are. The other thing I'll remind you is, and I mentioned this on a prior episode, there were some coaches, and I don't know which ones, I can't tell you that definitively, but I can confidently tell you that there were coaches on staff who lobbied to play Michael Van Buren. I know this is a fan sentiment. I know there's a lot of people that want to make a change at quarterback. My contention has been, continues to be that Garrett Nussmeier has not been the sole issue. The biggest issue you've had has been your unwillingness to run the football and your inability to pass protect. It's been a putrid offensive line that has caused the domino effect of everything. Garrett Nussmeier is getting scraped off the field every play with a spatula. Well, now you've got the guy calling plays who is an offensive lineman and running game coordinator. You've got the head coach as the running backs coach. And you got Michael Van Buren, who I think will see some role, an increased role in LSU's offense. And if you're wondering whether or not you can actually change something and turn something around midseason, I want to remind you, the last time LSU went through this was 2016, and that was a supremely talented team that lost 2 games in the first month of the season, to Wisconsin and to Auburn. LSU's scoring offense in that game. They scored 14 against Wisconsin. One of the touchdowns, by the way, was a pick six by Tre'Davious White, so the offense scored 7 points. They scored 34 against Jacksonville State. Then they eked past Mississippi State 23-20. 23 points against Mississippi State. Then they lost to Auburn 18-13. Les Miles gets fired. Ed Ogeron put in as the interim head coach. He promotes Steve Ensminger to offensive coordinator. They play Danny Etling, and against Missouri, boom, 42-7. Then they scored 45 against Southern Miss, 38 against Ole Miss. They lost to Alabama 10-0 in that great game. They go to Arkansas and win 38-10. They lost the postponed game to Florida 16-10, and then they scored 54 on Texas A&M in Kyle Field. Can you turn things around with an interim and a new offensive coordinator? Absolutely you can. LSU has done it. And I suspect with a new focus on the running game, this team will be able to do it as well. So, as I started, I told you Coach Frank has a path to win the job permanently. I'll explain what I mean next. Locked on LSU, your team every day. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Let's be honest. If Coach Frank Wilson is going to get this job permanently, it has to start with winning. He was asked, Coach Frank was, if he had the conversation with Scott Woodward about earning this job full time.
We didn't indulge too much into it. Sunday night when the decision was made, I was asked at that time, would I lead us through this remainder of the season? And certainly I was extremely honored to do so, humbled to do so. And we talked about that portion of it for this moment. And, you know, when that happens, you answer the bell. When Mother University calls for you, you answer, you pull up your bootstraps and you do what's required and asked of you to represent our university extremely well.
Mother University. I mean, he is just yanking at your heartstrings. Anyway, love Coach Frank. So here's the path. All right. Before you roll your eyes, remember, let's acknowledge a few things. First, all the big name candidates we've talked about, Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, even look at the NFL guys like Joe Brady. We've talked Kelvin Shepard too. All of those guys are likely going to make their respective playoffs, which means the college guys will be coaching through maybe late December to January, potentially late January, depending if they keep advancing. Same with Brady and Shepard if they're advancing through the NFL playoffs. So you will miss the December recruiting period, signing period, and the January portal period. In a sense, that would seem to eliminate the guys that are going to be making playoff runs. Can you actually wait to see if they get eliminated and if they would take your job? Hard to imagine. Then you start to think about what it would take, okay, and what you're willing to spend. That's the other thing we've talked about pretty consistently. Are you willing to spend $100 million on your next coach? I've said it repeatedly. Depends who's making the hire. If it's Scott Woodward, that's a no-brainer. He's going to swing for the fences. I also do not believe Scott Woodward will be making this hire. I do believe when the new university president is put in place, they will make a change at athletic director. And depending on what happens in that interim, I don't know who's going to be ultimately making the decision, but it may be one that is more cost effective. Well, here's Coach Frank. It's not going to cost you $100 million to hire him. And oh, by the way, he would probably maintain a lot of this staff. So the $10, $12 million you thought you were going to have to spend to buy out this staff, all of a sudden, you're not buying out this staff because he's probably retaining a lot of the staff. So you get your head coach for a lesser dollar, and you don't have to end up buying out the staff. Also, he's got Louisiana ties. Look, this governor is very clearly pushing to put people in positions of authority with ties to this state. And I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. I've repeatedly said that. That's just a fact. And the first part of the show was Frank Wilson explaining why he loves the state, why he loves LSU, why he bleeds purple and gold, why he wants this job. He just referenced Mother University. Like, LSU fans who are aching for someone who, quote unquote, gets it, who's a quote unquote fit. Now, I don't necessarily agree with all that you have to have a fit and be from Louisiana or any of that sort of stuff. You just got to win. Well, if that's the box you're looking to check with all that, he gets it. But the key is you got to go 4-0. If Frank Wilson beats Alabama, and by the way, that line's 5.5. And Alabama hadn't been great shakes this year. They have a great record. They haven't looked overly dominant. And your defense matches up well. We'll talk more about that game as we get closer. If you go to Tuscaloosa and win, then come home and beat Arkansas, Western Kentucky, you go to Norman, Oklahoma with a very legitimate shot of finishing 9-3 and Frank Wilson winning this job permanently. I'm not here to tell you that I think there's a great chance it happens, but if you're sleeping on the possibility, remember what I'm going to tell you throughout this entire process. Believe nothing, consider everything. And I'm telling you, there is a path for Frank Wilson to get this job permanently. We'll be talking about it all the way through. Hey, thanks so much for making us your first listen. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks also for watching on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. And remember to let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you every single day for Locked On LSU. It's your team every day.